Living organisms and their surroundings. Living organisms live everywhere on the earth. Their living places may be land, water, or air. They prefer places to live where they find enough food, water, and need to protect themselves from their enemies. Their living place should also be safe to deliver babies and take care of them. In all, they need safe environment and enough materials to survive and stay alive. They have some special features which enable them to adapt to their surrounding environment. Environment and its components. Everything which is present in the surroundings of a living thing and affecting its survival is called its environment. The environment is made up of two components. These components are biotic components and abiotic components. The survival of an organism depends on the perfect interaction of all these components. Biotic components. The biotic components include plants, animals, humans, and microbes. They are living components of an environment. These may vary in their shape, size, forms, and food habits. However, the major difference in these living things is their food habit. On the basis of food habits, the biotic components can be producers or autotrophs, consumers or heterotrophs, and decomposers. Producers. Green plants are producers or autotrophs. They can produce food with the help of abiotic components like sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. A green-colored pigment called chlorophyll present in their leaves which traps sunlight for the food-making process. The roots of the plants absorb water and minerals from the soil and carbon dioxide from the air. This way, they use the abiotic materials for making food. The process of food making by plants by using carbon dioxide, water, and energy from sunlight is called photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide plus water under light and chlorophyll gives glucose plus oxygen. Consumers. Consumers or heterotrophs cannot prepare their own food, so they depend on plants directly or indirectly for their food requirements. All consumers also need abiotic materials such as water and air to stay alive. They obtain these materials from their surrounding environment. Depending on their food habits, consumers can be further divided as herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores. These animals get their food directly from plants. For example, cow, buffalo, sheep, goat, horse, deer, etc. The herbivores are also called as primary consumers. Carnivores. These animals eat other animals as their food. They directly depend on plants for their food requirement. For example, lion, tiger, wolf, leopard, etc. The carnivores are also called as secondary consumers. Omnivores. The animals which feed both on plants and animals are called omnivores. For example, humans, crow, ant, dog, cockroach, etc. Decomposers. The tiny organisms like bacteria and fungi, some insects and snails obtain their food by feeding on dead plants and animals. They are called decomposers because they decompose or break down the dead bodies of living things into smaller particles. The decomposers recycle the nutrients in nature. For example, when a plant or an animal dies, it is slowly decomposed by the decomposers in soil. During this process, the decomposers obtain food and remain nutrients of the dead body are left in the soil, which turns it into humus. The humus is nutrient-rich and used by plants again for their growth. Abiotic components. The abiotic components of environment are air, sunlight, temperature, soil, water, etc. The survival of all living things depends on the interaction with abiotic components of their surrounding environment. Interdependence of biotic and abiotic components. The survival of living organisms depends on the interaction of biotic and abiotic components. This interdependence is explained with the help of some examples. The process of photosynthesis takes place in green plants in the presence of sunlight. The green plants act as the primary producers. Without sunlight, the process of photosynthesis does not take place. In absence of photosynthesis, no food can be produced and the herbivores will not get plants to eat and will die. If there are no herbivores, the carnivores cannot survive. Omnivores eat both plants and animals. In the absence of both, they will also not survive. The plants grow in soil. If there is no soil, then the plants cannot get nitrogen for their nutrition and survival. Nitrogen is the key component of proteins and some other important activities in plants. Another important factor that shows interdependence between biotic and abiotic components is water. Water is the basis of life. Almost 70% of human body is made of water. There is no survival of any living thing without water. The abiotic components also show dependence on biotic components. The biotic components, like decomposers, make the soil nutritious by feeding on dead and decaying plants and animals. This process makes the soil rich in nutrients. Plants and animals also depend on each other. Carbon dioxide released by animals as the product of respiration is used by plants for the synthesis of food. Plants release oxygen during the process of photosynthesis, which is a main life-saving gas for animals. Animals breathe oxygen, which helps to burn food in body cells and release energy. Plants need animals for the dispersal of seeds and pollination. Habitat. The living things need protection from their enemies and harsh environmental conditions, so they also need a home or shelter. A home is a safe place to live which protects them from harsh conditions of environment and enemies. The safe place where a living thing lives is called its habitat. A habitat has everything that a living thing needs to survive and grow. A habitat can be a pond, a forest, moist soil, river, sea, grassland, desert, and even a tree. An ideal habitat should have the following features: adequate food and water for the survival of living things, shelter to get protection from enemies and harsh weather conditions, optimum temperature. Types of habitat. Habitats can be forest, pond, or sea. The two main categories of habitats occupied by living things are terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. Terrestrial habitat. Living things mostly occupy terrestrial habitats. The land provides the best resources and place to live for the survival of living things. It has optimum temperature, sufficient water, and other essential things required for survival. This is the reason that the largest variety of plants and animals occupy the terrestrial habitats. The plants and animals which live on these habitats are called terrestrial plants and terrestrial animals respectively. The common terrestrial habitats are rainforest habitat. Rainforests are found near the equator. The rainfall occurs almost throughout the year. The plants found there are many trees, orchids, mosses, and ferns. These are home for animals like monkeys, gorillas, jaguars, bats, snakes, tigers, etc. Grasslands habitat. The big open spaces of grasses are called grasslands. These cover about 1/4 of the Earth's land. They are found on either side of two desert belts that circle the America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. Because of the open area and the widely spaced trees, grasslands are home to large herds of grazing animals such as the zebras and bisons. Other common animals of grasslands are African elephant, lion, ostrich, prairie dog, black rhinoceros, etc. Desert habitat. About 1/3 of the world's land is covered by deserts. They are very hot and dry or cold. They receive very less rainfall. The ground is sandy and rocky. The common plants of deserts are cacti, deep-rooted shrubs, and some grasses. The common desert animals are camel, fennel, fox, jackal, rattlesnake, lizard, spider, scorpion, and birds like quail and swift, etc. Mountain habitat. Mountains are higher rising lands on the earth. The climate is generally cool and windy. Snowfall occurs in winter. The common trees found in mountains are pines and animals are mountain goat, yak, and sheep. Tundra or polar habitat. About 1/5 of the Earth's land is tundra or polar habitat. It is the top of the world, near the North Pole. The ground is permanently frozen so that the trees cannot grow there. The animals living in polar regions are seal, walrus, caribou, Arctic hare, squirrel, Arctic fox, wolf, polar bear, penguin, and snowbirds, etc. The plants found in polar habitats are very rare except some grasses. Aquatic habitat. The aquatic habitats can be divided into two major categories. These are freshwater habitats and marine habitats. Freshwater habitat. The river, pond, and lake are called freshwater habitats. A pond is a water body smaller than a lake. Various plants living in a pond are water lily, duckweed, grasses, etc. The animals living in pond habitat are frog, turtle, fish, snake, duck, etc. A river is a large water body. All rivers flow down from hills and terminate finally into a sea. River is a home for algae and many submerged plants. The animals living in river water are mostly fish and insects. A lake is surrounded by the land. Various tiny plants, fish, and insects live in lake water. Marine habitat. The seas and oceans are called marine habitats. These are large reservoirs of salty water. The oceans occupy about 71% of the Earth's surface. Many plants and animals live in marine habitats. The common plants of marine habitats are marine algae, mosses, and the animals are fish, oyster, crab, prawn, lobster, dolphin, and whale, etc. Coastal habitat. The coastal area is a region where the sea and land habitats meet. In coastal habitats, many animals like oyster, crab, seaweed live, and trees like mangroves grow. Adaptations. The ability of organisms to survive in a particular habitat by modifying its body parts is called adaptation. They have special features which help them to obtain food, stay safe, build homes, and withstand weather, etc. These features are called adaptive features. The adaptive features make it possible for living things to live in a particular place. Various methods of adaptations in living things are: they change their body or develop special body features to survive in their habitat. Some organisms show special behavior like hibernation to deal with extreme cold conditions in their habitat. During hibernation, they reduce their all-body activities and go for deep sleep. They awake when temperature is favorable to them. Some animals like fish and birds show migration, a change of place during very cold conditions. Migration is a seasonal movement from one place to another to get favorable conditions. Adaptation does not take place in a short time. It takes thousands of years for living organisms to adapt to their habitat. The living organisms which cannot adapt to these changes die out, and only the adapted ones survive. Plants and animals both adapt to different conditions in different ways. The result, what we see, is their immense variety present in different habitats. Adaptations to rainforest. The plants and animals of rainforests show following adaptive features. Plants. The trees of rainforests have leaves with drip tips. These tips do not allow raindrops to stick to them for longer time. This feature protects leaves from rotting due to water. The plants which grow at lower level have large leaves to absorb as much sunlight. This is because the taller plants cover them under their shade. Animals. Animals prefer to eat a selective food which is not eaten by other animals. This is to avoid the competition for food in a variety of animal population. Some animals can camouflage, by which they can change their color or shape to match their surroundings. This feature protects them from hiding from their enemies. For example, chameleon, tree frog, grasshopper, and lizards. Stick insects use a combination of color and shape to hide in its habitat. Some animals like tiger and zebra have special markings that help to hide their shapes. Monkeys have strong arms to swing around from trees to trees. Adaptations to desert. Deserts are hot and dry habitats. The plants and animals for desert habitats have some special features to adapt to this habitat. Plants. The common desert plants are cactus, acacia, and some bushes. The fleshy stem of cactus stores plenty of water when water is available easily. It does not need a lot of water to survive. Leaves are reduced to spines to prevent loss of water. Stem carries out photosynthesis. Roots penetrate deep into the soil in search of water. Animals. The common desert animal is camel. It shows following adaptive features. Long eyelashes keep the sand out of their eyes. Thick eyebrows shield the eyes from the hot sun. Nostrils can close to avoid sand. Ears are covered with hair even on the inside. The hair helps keep out sand or dust that might blow into the animal's ears. A camel can go for a week or more without water and can last for several months without food. It stores fat in the hump, not water. Camel's feet are wide so they can walk on the sand more easily. It has thick lips to eat the prickly desert plants without feeling pain. Adaptation to mountain habitat. Plants and animals of mountain habitats show several adaptive features. Plants. Trees have sloping branches, conical shape and needle-like leaves. This helps to slide off rainwater and snow easily. Otherwise, due to heavy snowfall, their branches may break and the trees will get damaged. Animals. Some animals undergo hibernation and migration. Hibernation is a form of deep sleep that helps an animal to survive in winter. Mountain goats have hooves which help them climb rocky mountains. Yak has thick coat of hair to get protection from cold. Adaptations to polar habitats. The plants found in polar habitats are very rare except some grasses. Adaptations in animals of polar regions are polar bear. They have thick fur on their bodies to protect them from cold. Their white fur helps them blend in with the snow and ice. A polar bear has a layer of fat under its skin which helps it stay warm. The wide, large paws help it to walk in the snow. Small ears and tail reduce the heat loss from the body. Penguins. Penguins have a layer of oily, waterproof feathers and a thick layer of fat under the skin that regulates their body temperature. They stay in groups to keep themselves warm. They have webbed feet for powerful swimming. The dark-colored feathers in penguins help absorb heat from the sun to keep their bodies warm. Adaptations to grasslands. The plants and animals of grassland habitat also have adaptive features. Plants. Trees have flexible stem and roots to bear the effect of strong winds. Their leaves are small and narrow to reduce the water loss. Some plants have deep roots to prevent grazing animals by uprooting. Animals. Animals have the ability to run fast to escape hunting animals. Some animals have brown skin which helps to hide between dry brown grass. For example, deer, lion, etc. Adaptations to aquatic habitats. Several plants and animals survive in aquatic habitats. The adaptations which enable them to survive in their habitats are plants. The plants that live in water are called aquatic plants. The aquatic plants may be floating or completely submerged in water. The plants which float in water are lotus and water lily. The plants like tape grass and hydrilla remain completely submerged in water. The special features of aquatic plants are roots of aquatic plants are either absent or very less developed. This is because the water is easily available to them. They have long, slender, weak and spongy stems for reducing weight of the plant to avoid sinking in water. The leaves are flat, broad and covered with wax to avoid decay due to long exposure in water. Animals. The animals which live in water are called aquatic animals. The aquatic animals have several features. Fish have streamlined body. This feature helps to reduce resistance caused by water and enable fast swimming. Fins and tail are present to swim and maintain the balance in water. The body is covered with scales and mucus, which protects it from decay. They have gills to breathe. The swim bladder present in the body helps them to float in water. It helps to reduce resistance caused by water and fast swimming in water. Dolphins and whales have blowholes present at the upper part of their head for breathing air. That is why these animals come to the water surface from time to time to get oxygen from the air. They have flippers to swim around water. Ducks have webbed feet to swim in water. Their bones are hollow that help them afloat. Octopus and squids do not have streamlined body. They stay in deep water to find their food. When these animals move towards their prey, they make their bodies streamlined. Acclimatization. Some changes occur in an organism over a short period of time to help them adjust to the changes in their surroundings. For example, if we live in plains and suddenly go to high mountain regions, we may experience difficulty in breathing and doing physical exercise for some time. But after some days, our body adjusts to the changed conditions of high mountains. Such changes that occur in the body of a single organism over short periods to overcome small problems due to changed living conditions are called acclimatization. These changes are different from the adaptations that take place over